Hello, and welcome to another episode of Questioning Woke Psychotherapy. In this video, I'm going to talk about the dangers of anti-wokeism. At this juncture in history, with President Trump's multiple executive orders targeting DEI and wokeness in general, many who are critical of critical social justice ideology may feel greatly encouraged. For others of the anti-woke ilk, this development may raise doubts. They may feel put in a camp where they don't belong. Maybe the anti-woke generally imagine that wokeness will finally be defeated and destroyed, but some wonder at what cost and replaced by what. Just as not all social justice activists are the same, not all anti-wokesters are the same. I want to talk about this and point out that there is a danger that a vengeful, illiberal, ideological backlash against the woke could usher in its own authoritarianism. My name is Michael Dwan Herrick. I'm a psychotherapist and a life coach in private practice in London. It may seem odd that I'm talking about the dangers of anti-wokeism. After all, that's what this series has been all about. But I've been mindful of this danger since beginning this series 19 months ago. That's why I have tried along the way to acknowledge and preserve what is true and good in wokeness, while also not holding back my criticisms of it. I recently read an essay by Helen Pluckrose titled, "What's Going Wrong with the Anti-Woke?" I'll leave a link to this in the description below. Pluckrose articulates my own intuitions. As you may not read the essay, and it would take too long to summarize the whole thing, I offer this quote, which gets to the point. I quote from Helen Pluckrose. "It seems that many people who recognize the extremism, authoritarianism, and irrationalism of the critical social justice woke movement and supported those of us who criticized it on those grounds are currently feeling quite disillusioned. This is because there are significant numbers of people ranging from politicians to political pundits to various kinds of public figures to large social media accounts to general members of the public who are active on social media, who have become extreme and authoritarian and vengeful themselves in the name of anti-wokeness." She points out that those who oppose woke ideology do so for different reasons and with different agendas. There are white supremacists, white nationalists, Christian nationalists, Marxists that believe all the focus on identity divides the working class and keeps them from overthrowing capitalism. And there are evidence-based liberals, like Helen Pluckrose, who don't believe the woke have good evidence to support their claims or their remedies. Certain elements of the anti-woke have their own fundamentalist positions and would like to get back to enforcing these on everyone else. They are illiberal and hurt the cause of challenging the extremes of wokeism by being extreme or regressive themselves. If at some point while watching this video you decide that you like it, give it a like. And if you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so that you can know about future videos. I like to think the comment section is a way to carry on the conversation, so please let me and other viewers know what you think. Okay, let's get back to the topic. I want to make this more personal now. Having read Pluckrose's essay, I was reminded of my initial intentions for this series on Questioning Woke Psychotherapy. On the same day that I read her essay, I was also researching the topic of liberation psychology. I happened to watch a video of a young Black woman named Dr. Brianna Baker, who was explaining how to, is the title, "Decolonize Your Mind, 3 Ways White Supremacy Manifests and How to Achieve Psychological Liberation." It sounded to me like a litany of neuroses, all of which she blamed on a racist society. She repeatedly said, "We are taught," or "we get the message," that we are inferior. She described the many psychological issues caused by this. And I kept thinking, does that really explain these problems? Her whole argument seemed built on asserting a pervasive, insidious, and relentless barrage of racism. The evidence she provided is scant, and what she does provide in the form of personal experiences could have other explanations. So I'm feeling annoyed as I'm listening to her, even a little angry. I feel like I want to tear her argument apart. Then something shifted in me. She was so sweet and sincere. She completely believed what she was saying. Although to me there were holes in her argument, she had clearly given it a lot of study and thought. She had worked hard to gain her perspective and connect the dots. Her intentions were pure. She really does want to liberate people's minds from oppressive forces that cause suffering. She wants people to feel free, empowered, and good about themselves. I could see that she was a genuinely good person. As this sunk in, my anger dissolved. I still felt slightly annoyed, but this was mixed with a tinge of sadness and appreciation. At the very least, I could see and feel her goodness as a person. As my attitude toward her softened, I reflected on myself. Am I not vulnerable to everything that I could criticize in her? Might my arguments also have holes? Of course they do. Might my sincere effort and intention to contribute something of value have a blind spot? Of course, this is more than possible. Is it possible that my good intentions could pave their own unfortunate road? Of course. So where does this recognition leave me? Should I quit critiquing the woke? Should I abandon my good intentions? Should I stop arguing against things that appear false and destructive? What would happen then? How would I proceed? And who would I become if I quit speaking up? Am I even capable of that kind of surrender? No, I must keep going, but with humility. It would be naive to believe that all the woke have good intentions, like Dr. Brianna Baker, but probably most do. I believe most are sincere. They believe they are fighting on the side of good. I need to remember this and feel it. Those I disagree with can't be wrong about everything. Not only that, but I can be wrong. I need to recognize, admit, and correct this when I can. It's not like I just figured this out, but I'm feeling it more deeply now. And even if my opponents cannot reciprocate, this is the path that I must tread. Yet even with this, there are and will be times for anger. For instance, about gender-affirming care and the mutilation of children, or the relentless deconstruction and assault on Western civilization. Some things need to be confronted and challenged until they stop. But a vengeful demonization of the woke will lead to nothing good. I do not want to contribute to a fundamentalist backlash or even be seen as a part of it. Occasionally, I've gotten comments on my videos from viewers who seem to put me in that camp. I imagine that they have not listened closely to what I've said. But perhaps I could do a better job at being clearer about this. So for the record, I would like to clarify a few things. First, I want to recognize, as political professor Eric Kaufman has pointed out, that the precursors to the woke movement are liberalism, egalitarianism, and humanitarianism. These are the roots of its good intentions. Without elaborating on what each of these entails, I agree that in essence, they are good fundamental values. As they have been interpreted and elaborated on by the woke, I'm not so much in agreement. When liberalism becomes a general attack on social norms as oppressive, I disagree. When egalitarianism becomes a coercive top-down imposition of equal outcomes, I disagree. When humanitarianism becomes a policing and censoring of language and segregated safe spaces to protect anyone from being offended or having hurt feelings, I disagree. I agree that there are and have been social injustices that need to be recognized and set right. There is a place for social activism. When power is oppressive, it should be challenged and people should be liberated from it. I don't agree with all the assumptions about systemic injustice based solely on disparities of outcome. I don't believe in tearing it all down so it can be replaced by some group's ideological utopian vision. I agree that norms are socially constructed and need to be regularly reviewed and revised. They can be unnecessarily oppressive. I don't agree that norms are arbitrary and serve only to preserve the power of an oppressing class of people. Mostly, they serve the need for social cohesion and collaboration. I agree that all cultures, including indigenous cultures, have their own wisdom and legitimate life ways and should be respected and appreciated. I don't agree that the dominant culture needs to be decolonized and condemned within its own borders. I believe that all cultures have a dark history, not just Western civilization. Almost all have owned slaves and engaged in bloody warfare to expand their territory or secure resources. I don't agree with demonizing some cultures and idealizing others. I also don't believe that multiculturalism without a unifying meta-narrative has a chance in hell of working. I agree that we should care about all people and offer humanitarian aid when we can. But I believe that every nation needs to have borders and take care of its own people first. As I have heard said about individual generosity, we should give from the overflow. A nation should not compromise the well-being of its own members to help non-citizens. I believe that we should be kind and avoid causing offense to others. I don't agree that we should withhold the truth or even our opinions just because it might hurt someone's feelings, or that we should be censored or canceled if we do. I agree that our membership in different identity groups says something about us. I don't agree that the sacralization, as Eric Kaufman calls it, of race, gender, and sexuality, and obsessing over them, allows us to recognize and appreciate the true diversity of individuals. There are countless other ways that we are different. Further, I disagree with how the woke neglect, if not deny, the myriad things that we share as human beings, despite our diversity. I believe it's important to stand up against the extremes on both sides of the political divide, but how and why we do it matters. The anti-woke rightfully point out the divisive nature of woke ideology. Ironically, however, it doesn't help when it launches vengeful attacks. It doesn't help to make or watch videos of lefties losing it. These can be validating and amusing, but how much does it help to make someone else's pain the source of our pleasure? It may garner views and likes on social media from people looking to be entertained, but it isn't a way forward together. As I carry on questioning and criticizing the woke, I will hold the face and voice and goodness of Dr. Brianna Baker in my mind. I will assume that most of the woke are like her and try to preserve a tone of kindness even as I argue against them. Sometimes, however, I will still be harsh when addressing bad actors. Then I should be clear that I'm not addressing all who are woke. No doubt I will slip in these intentions. If it seems to you that I'm not keeping to them in the future, I invite you to call me out on it. I also invite you to reflect on your own way of being anti-woke. Speak up when and where you can. Confront extremism wherever it comes from with clarity and kindness. There's a place for your anger. Certain things need to be strongly confronted and opposed, but see if you can channel that without causing more unnecessary division and harm. Remember that most of your opponents feel they are fighting for a good cause. See if you can find common ground. If we do not do this, then anti-wokeism will become its own dangerous problem. Yet even when we do manage this, we also must contend with a lazy and reactive tendency of the woke to dismiss our disagreements and criticisms as ipso facto proof that we are in one supremacist camp or the other. Let's not give them ammunition. I'm reminded of a tactic used by those who don't want to contend with a partner's complaint. If they can provoke the complainer into an angry outburst, then their partner's complaint is replaced by a complaint about the angry outburst. The issue goes unaddressed. let's not fall for that. Well, thanks for listening. That's all for now. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and I hope you'll join me for the next video. Bye for now.